If you don't do something about it November the 5th, we got nobody to blame but ourselves as the American people.
This country will be unrecognizable. Senator Graham, thank you.
Are they about to cry on Fox News? It certainly sounded like Lindsey Graham and Hannity were about to break down in tears. I know that Fox they're really going through some things over there at this propaganda network. They see the polls slipping away from Donald Trump. They see the enthusiasm for Kamala Harris. They see her doing a fantastic job with the recovery efforts with President Biden after Hurricane Helene. And so they're trying to spin, and do everything they can to try to elevate Donald Trump. I'm going to get into some of the biggest freakouts at Fox from last night because it's important that we all see this stuff. We can't just cover our eyes and close our ears to what is going on because this propaganda is being injected into the veins of Americans every single day. My name's Brett Meiselas here with the MeidasTouch Network. Remember to hit subscriber on our way to 3.5 million subscribers, and we can't do it without you. Okay, let's get right into it. No time to waste. Laura Ingraham was very upset last night that the longshoreman strike had been suspended. You could see what she is saying, and she tries to blame Kamala Harris for the whole thing. Here was Laura Ingraham's take on this good news. Watch.
Well, the longshoreman strike may be temporarily suspended until mid-January, and although Kamala Harris, of course, breathing a sigh of relief tonight, American voters shouldn't. We should never have been here in the first place. And
here is the good news as reported by the Washington Post. The headline, the dock workers are heading back to work. The Washington Post is reporting a 62% wage increase over 6 years. The union had initially requested 77%, so they landed in their negotiations at a 62% increase. Negotiations are going to continue on the issue of automation, but workers agreed to work until at least January 15th. And Hannity is incredibly mad about it. Let's bring up Hannity on Fox. You could see in his face, and you could see in the Chiron, it says, port strike ends for 90 days while parties negotiate a new contract. I'm telling you, I'm not going to play everything, but Hannity was livid, which as Aaron Rupar, who does a great job, by the way, does incredible work. He says it gives away the game that Trumpers have been playing this week. Everything they do is to try to sabotage. It's to try to gin up some sort of distrust in the government. It's to blame everything on Kamala Harris. The strategy is so obvious and it's really wearing thin. They kind of have one move in their pocket and they use it nonstop. Like with the storm, which by all accounts, all the Republican governors are saying Kamala Harris and President Biden are doing an incredible job in the recovery. All the people on the ground are saying that Vice President Harris and President Biden are doing an incredible job. Hannity is trying to push this. Watch.
Kamala Harris, let me be clear. This is rightly Kamala's Katrina on...
No, it's really not. Stop trying to make it a thing, Hannity. It's really not a thing. Actually, the administration is doing a fantastic job providing very strong aid. By the way, we here at the MeidasTouch Network just the other day interviewed the spokesperson at FEMA who gave us a laundry list of everything that FEMA is doing right now to help the people on the ground. I recommend you check out that interview. So here's Fox's other propaganda. As I said, the name of the game, spin, spin, spin. So they had this guy on, Hung Cao. He's a Republican in Virginia running for the U.S. Senate against Democrat Tim Kaine. And you can see the headline here, GOP Senate candidate crushes incumbent in debate. Would I surprise you if I said it was actually quite the opposite and that everybody is mocking this guy's performance and calling him out for having a horrible performance and for being absolutely disgraceful during this debate? Like, I'll show you some receipts, right? Because you know we always bring receipts here at the MeidasTouch Network. Here was Hung Cao. Here was his Republicans' bigotry on full display as he attacked LGBTQ Virginians who want to participate, who want to join the Army or the Navy. Watch.
When you're using a drag queen to recruit for the Navy, that's not the people we want. What we need is alpha males and alpha females who are going to rip out their own guts, eat them, and ask for seconds. Those are young men and women that are going to win wars.
And he said so many just bizarre, false, extreme things the other night. Like, it was so bizarre. Watch this clip.
Again, he says what he's going to do. It's going to be like, hey, why haven't you done it yet? Honestly, of the 227 bills that Senator Kaine has proposed, only 3 of them made it through.
That's completely wrong.
That's a 99% failure rate. My profession is disarming
Check the
bombs.
tape on that. That's completely wrong.
Okay, sir, there's two truths in the world, okay? Never walk in a Target store wearing a red shirt, and never go against an Asian when it comes to math. Trust me.
What does that mean?
Gentlemen, we're going to move on.
Look, he's got a 99% failure rate. If I defuse bombs and I had 99% failure rate, I wouldn't be here.
Best managed state in America, best state for business, best state for education.
Huh? I mean, this guy's a total disaster. And let me remind you, like about a month or so ago, like a month and a half ago, he said this, and I'm not making this up. I'll show you the clip. He said, no one in the United States is like, quote, oh my gosh, I will die if I don't have health care. What are you talking about? Watch.
We need incentives, right? So doctors will innovate and do things better just out of incentive. And that's where we want to be able to have choice for everybody to you know, if you want to pay more, then pay more and get better health care. It's just the way it is. But no one in the United States is like, oh my gosh, I will die if I don't have health care.
I think people are actually quite concerned if you're going to take away their health care. I think that's actually is life or death for many, if not all Americans, in fact. I want to show you this clip now. Of course, behind any disgraceful candidate out there, you have who? Donald Trump. And Donald Trump said last month, he said like about a month and a half ago, he said that this guy is a great gentleman. Watch this.
It's really an honor to be with you. Thank you. And we're going to be with this man. This is a great gentleman. I love his name, Hung Kao. I love that name. And that name alone should get you elected, right? Yes, sir. More importantly, actually, he's tremendous. He's tremendous. He ran a great primary campaign. I endorsed him very early, and he did very well. And we think he's got a very good chance of winning for the Senate. And I really believe it. I hope your community gets out and really supports him like 100%, because you can win. You can win, definitely win. Yep. And we're looking to win the state, and I think we will win the state.
Yeah, it's all very, very weird. Donald Trump and Fox are in full propaganda mode after Jack Smith submitted this damning 165-page filing, and Judge Chutkan released it to the public, which had just copious amounts of information and evidence against Donald Trump related to January 6th. Trump was supposed to have his response to that at October 17th, but asked for it to be pushed. That was granted by Judge Chutkan, and you could hear Judge Janine here on Fox's show, The Five, explaining it. Watch.
So that Jack Smith would be able to submit his papers on this date. And the former president, should have his answers by October 17th. Now, I just heard that was changed about an hour ago until after the election. But at least if they had gotten their response in by the president's team, you could have had somewhat of a balanced review of this. This is definitely election interference, and it's...
And here are the facts, Judge Janine. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. But if Trump had even one iota of evidence to refute even a single word of what Jack Smith said, don't you think he would have wanted to get that out to the public as soon as possible and not wait till after the election? Really makes you think now, does it? I guess these people really don't think. But there's one people on Fox who is a thinker, who actually understands things and is able to explain things from a pro-democracy perspective, thankfully, and that is Jessica Tarlov. Jessica Tarlov at least was able to share with the Fox audience the Politico story about how when wildfires hit California, Donald Trump did not want to help until he was able to see the voter data that said that he had voters there who would support him. Watch this.
But I don't know if anyone else saw this today, what Politico was reporting. As usual with Trump, every accusation is a confession. They have two people who used to work for him in the White House told him that he wasn't going to release funds when the wildfires hit California because he didn't think that his supporters were there. So they had to show him voter data.
But that's Politico. They're a joke.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're a joke. They just did a whole article on like body language of the debate, saying Waltz's eyeballs gave you passion.
Okay, well, I want to...
Please stop.
Donald Trump had to be shown voter data that Orange County was solidly for Trump before he would release disaster relief funds. He even re-upped this in September earlier.
That's hearsay, Jessica.
No, it's not. It's reported in
a periodical that hates Trump and has lied about him for years. Let's go to Judge Janine Pirro.
It must be really weird to live in your world.
says.
They always just try to shrug her off, if you notice. And here's Jessica Tarlov speaking about the FEMA aid Donald Trump's efforts to try to instill fear, spread false information. And Jessica says if Trump was being honest, he would stand up and say, Congress doesn't care about you. They just left on a 6-week recess without voting to appropriate more funds to disaster relief. It's so true. Watch.
And if Donald Trump was being honest, it would be hard for him. But if he was, he would stand up there and say, Congress doesn't care about you. They just left on a 6-week recess without voting to appropriate more funds to disaster relief. We knew these storms were coming. The disaster declarations were signed a week ago. They still went home to do God knows what for 6 weeks. Your representatives aren't on your side. And that would actually be in tone with his whole outsider shtick, etc.
Jessica Tarlov tried her best to speak about the filing by Jack Smith. Her co-hosts at Fox, however, didn't seem too interested, and they'd be like, well, we heard all this already. What? Like, no, we didn't, and that doesn't make it any less serious, even if we did. Watch.
There is new information in this filing, 165 pages. There has to be something new. We know for sure now that Donald Trump knew he lost, even though Jesse says he didn't know. And we know because he told his kids on Marine One, it doesn't matter if you won or lost, you have to fight like hell. We knew he didn't care if Mike Pence lived or died. Now we know that he said, so what? And that there were 71 threats against Mike Pence. So bad that Mark Short had to go to the...
That's why you need cross-examination. No. It's not true unless it's tested.
Mark Short went to the Secret Service to say that he was scared for his life. You have anecdotes.
But all those things are not... No, I knew all that.
Yeah.
You knew that he said, so what? And you knew that you knew about
within the spirit of everything that has been written and said about this before.
Did you know about Ronna McDaniel going to the election official in Michigan who said that's effing nuts? What he's asking us to do?
It is in keeping with everything else I know about it and everything else that she said. Jesse, go ahead.
And as you've seen, especially over the past few days, anytime January 6th is brought up or the 2020 election is brought up, Fox and Donald Trump and all of their kind of surrogates, they all say, oh, why are we talking about the past? Why are we talking about the past? And there's a reason for it, because Donald Trump still won't accept the results, and he still won't say, well, he said he probably won't accept the results of this election if he loses. So Jessica Tarlov had this brilliant response on Fox.
Okay. The narrative is that Democrats are obsessed with January 6th. But the reality is that Donald Trump is the one who's obsessed with 2020. Even today, he was on stage in Michigan saying, I won, and I won by an even bigger margin than 2016. Maybe he should be quiet about it, but he can't stop himself, which puts it into the national discourse.
Here's Judge Janine on the same show asking if, she goes, do you recall the sentencing for Donald Trump by Judge Engoron? I mean, you were a judge and a district attorney? I mean, you should know that there's no sentencing in a civil case. There's no sentencing. It was a civil fraud case. Watch.
And you know what's amazing is, do you recall the sentencing for Donald Trump in New York City by Judge Engoron was delayed because he didn't want to impact the election, which is kind of amazing because he's about as biased, I thought, as you could get.
As I said, the name of the game over at Fox is spin, spin, spin. If you watch that network all day, you're not only not getting the facts, you're getting lies. You're actually walking away less informed than you are going into it. That's what makes them so dangerous, and they are so unabashed in their lying. They just don't care, no matter how stupid it sounds. They are so blatant with what they are trying to do. But that's why we need to put a microscope to them, and we need to highlight all of this craziness, because everybody out there needs to understand that this is what a large amount of Americans are being fed every single day. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support you give me on these videos. Can you hit the like button for me? That really helps. Also, leave a comment. I want you to let me know what you think of this video and all the work that we do here at the MeidasTouch Network. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram at MeidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.